Hello, everyone, to unit number 7 of technology management. We will be talking about e procurement and unit number 7. So, we're going to be talking of how technology can make a very big difference when it comes to back of the house. When we go into the operation, when we go into the production, the inventory, which is a procurement, how it could be very beneficial. Okay, so first of all, what's e-procurement? Well, first of all, let's understand traditional procurement, and then we will understand the e-procurement. You can watch this video. It's just from a company, but I think they explain it fantastically because although it comes in the end of the video, they're advertising. I think they explain it very well. So, anyways, in procurement, we are trying to understand who are our suppliers, what we buy from them, when we purchase it, when we need it in production, how long it takes to be in production, how long we have to warehouse that, when we're going to dispatch it, how we're going to distribute it. So that comes all to the process of e-procurement. And on top of that, also, we have to understand where we're going to make the payments for that. The same as when our consumers, well, in this case, the distributors are going to pay us. So it's a flow of goods and it's a flow of money. And everything is connected because, in the end, it all depends of everything, no? So traditionally, this used to be a very tedious process, procurement, because we had to issue invoices, we had to update the suppliers, we had to update the production, we had to update the distributors, the consumers, etc. So it used to take very long time, and whenever there was an issue, we couldn't catch it until maybe 6 months after or 1 year after. No, there's problems in the procurement, and it was too late. So we had to wait until the next quarter or until the next financial year to fix it. But nowadays that has changed a lot because ERP software manages all the information and the flow of information in on real time. It tells us what is going on, whether we got paid, whether we paid, whether the supplies are there, how they move, when they moved, etc., etc. So it's like a magic wand for companies, right? So in this case, like I said, we talked about e-procurement. So it's integration, management, and procurement of activities, including purchase request, authorization, ordering, delivery, payment between purchaser and supplier, and of course also the processing of the goods. That is a bit more expensive because we're talking also about ERP. The procurement itself is just the purchasing and payment of all the things. Okay, very good. So we have these electronic procurement systems, APS. There's just for procurement, or ERP, which is already, they involve so many areas. Like I said, customer relations, our finances, ordering, supplies, inventories, warehousing, human resources, etc. There's many. And there's many modules. In this case, for example, let's take what is a module. For example, SAP. SAP is one of the leading softwares for e-procurement or for ERPs, right? So in this case, when you acquire SAP, you have to tell them what you want to do with them. This is, I want throughout all my organization to have a flow of information, and then I require you to sell me all the modules. So the modules is for one module is for human resources, one module is for CRM, one for customer service, etc. So different departments. When we say modules, we talk about different departments, right? So the modules of the software that lead with the different departments, right? So, anyways, of course, the more modules you have, the more expensive it is, but also the more coordinated your company is and the more effective it is. So it's a payback, you know. Nowadays they say that we should consider the cost of IT as the same as other costs such as electricity. It's nothing special. It's not, I'm going to spend a lot more on IT, so it's very costly for the company. So we have to cut on that. You don't cut on electricity, you don't cut on IT. So it's necessary, it's needed, and you have to do it, right? So we have different types of, let me change myself here. I think I'll be better here. Participants in different types of e-procurement. So in this case, we have different types. We have e-sourcing, where we can find potential new suppliers. In this case, like Alibaba actually started with this. They were the pioneers of that. Then they turned into e-commerce. The same as Amazon started with books, they started with business to business, right? So the same thing, it could be the e-tendering, which is I have a project and I want suppliers that supply for me. So I will say I need, for example, 1,000 kilos of cotton, and then of course I do the e-tender, and then producers of cotton can go and look at my tender and then apply for it and say, okay, I can sell you this one and I have it ready by this time and for this price. Then of course whoever has the best tender, then they will go for that. But nowadays, like I said, that's electronic and it's very easy. But long time ago, it was manually done, so nobody know where the tenders were, no way to contact suppliers, and it was very difficult. It was everything face to face, everything go and search for cotton suppliers, talk to them and see what they have and what they can offer, and it took forever. And then of course we had the e-informant, which is qualification of supplier suitability. So in this case, rather than tracking transactions, we have a rating of the suppliers, how effective they are, what they do, when they provide, what quality they have, and that's it. Okay. Very good. Now we have the e-reverse auction. So this one enables the purchasing company to buy goods and services that have the lowest price or combination of lower prices and other conditions via internet technology. So in this case, we see the suppliers, and then based on their prices, we choose it. So rather than we open and say we need this and they apply for us, they have their prices in there and then we take them. So we have also the ERPs, like I said, the ERP, or the what is, I forgot, the MRO, multiple, wait, what is the name of it? I forgot. Maintenance, repair, and operations. I forgot about that one. I'm sorry. Sometimes my acronyms don't go that far. So, anyways, so in this case, this one is mostly for the operational part of the company, which is when we have some machinery or so, we have to make sure that it's running on time, etc., functional, and that if there's any repairs, etc., are scheduled on time. And of course, we have that is more of part of the infrastructure part of the company rather than the operational one. And ERP is more operational, so one leads more with infrastructure and the other one more with the operation. So, like I said, in this case, drivers of e-procurement, why we would do it, again, mostly it's because information flows. And then, of course, that let us have control. Then we can control the cost. We can see which areas of the process can be improved. We can see which areas are performing better. And, of course, we can see how the suppliers are performing as well. So, of course, the e-procurement is an alternative to being successful in terms of operationally successful, and that is the point of having this, right? Here we can see, I mean, I don't want to go into this one too in depth because it's not longer much of technology, but more of strategy and operations, which is how we create the value, right? Remember that when we talk about in a company about creating value, is how can we, throughout the supply chain, which activities we can enhance them so that either we can produce more or produce more efficiently. And in this case, technology is doing both of them. Through the ERP, we create a lot of value because we understand how the process runs, where is ineffective, how we can fix it, or even nowadays with AI, it tells us automatically where it's wrong. Right now at the current, as I'm talking to you now, still many of the ERPs is intuitive enough, has enough information, but still it has to be analyzed mostly by humans. So we're talking about that in near future, AI is going to take over that. They're going to able to identify patterns, able to identify where are the mistakes, and rather than us doing the analysis of where things are wrong, it is more of following the AI's advice and implementing those changes into the strategy or the production. So in this case, also we have to think of the problems of barriers and risk of e-procurement adoption, which is sounds fantastic. An ERP is great, but the problem is that we have to implement it. And then that, first of all, here it starts already with resistance to change. An ERP must have the same language, same information throughout the system, same format. And if that information doesn't flow well, then ERP is useless. And that is what many companies struggle with, to standardize their data, because they have so many departments, they have so many areas, so many functions and processes, and it's very difficult to really put them together and talk all the same language. Imagine I grab all the people from the world and say, okay guys, now we're going to speak English. So of course that comes with a problem, right? And of course, like with ERP implementation is exactly the same, right? So in this case, among other areas, is that when we have these ERP systems also may not match the goals of the suppliers. Some of the suppliers may not be using the software, or they not want to implement that software. There's information also somehow is misread. That means that we have information that is not flowing the way it should, and that doesn't work very well, right? And of course, we have the creation of catalogs, or the creation of supplies, e-supplies, electronic pamphlets. It also takes a long time because of the images, because of the information, and how we can make it accessible for the user. Here you can see, in this video is very good, explains very well how some of the challenges of digitalizing your operations. Okay, so there you go. This is just a and then of course we also have to talk, like I said to just earlier, we have to understand that ERP is moving into new directions, which is more intuitive, into using AI, using, for example, here the digital twins. Digital twins is we have, let's say, for example, a production plant, and we also have in the computer their twin. So if I were to say, in a local production plant, if I modify these things, what could happen? And then of course I have to turn off the machines, do the changes, and try. But with a digital twin, I can, if I see there's for example a certain problem in the production, I modify the virtual twins, the virtual machine, or the virtual production process. I see what are the results immediately without changing anything physically. So this helps a lot to companies to save a lot of money on time, because rather than taking rough guesses on what could possibly happen if we change the system, they just change it artificially in a virtual scenario, and then they see the results in there. So that's fantastic. That works fantastically for companies. And of course, like I say, AI is measuring in advance also what are the trends, what are traits in terms of a system, and then of course try to make it more lean. Here you can see this video. Siemens is an expert on this digital twins, and of course it's a bit long, but I think it's worth. I mean, my video today is not very long, so maybe you can use some of the time to watch those videos that I added in the slides. Okay, very good. That's all for today. If you have any questions, please let me know.